Let's get into this discussion now. Business groups and government appear to have found each other on crucial issues to bolster South Africa's economy. President Cyril Ramaphosa held meetings to discuss matters related to transport, energy, crime and corruption. Business for South Africa's chairperson, Martin Kingston, is with us now to expand on that meeting. Mr. Kingston, good evening to you and thank you for your time. I'm going to deal with this in the various topics that I would assume are of importance to you. Energy. Reducing the intensity of load shedding has been the recurring comment of the minister responsible for ending power cuts. Did you hear anything new today from that meeting?
Well, our meeting, Connie, was actually yesterday evening. It was the seventh that we've had in a series of meetings over the past 9 months. And the pace has ratcheted up in each of the meetings. The structures that we've put in place between business and government have been solidified. The governance is working. The resources have been allocated. And we've identified key priorities in each of the three areas that you've mentioned. And obviously, the earliest one to be the subject of real attention was, as you say, energy. It was off the back of the Energy Action Plan that was announced by the President actually now in August 2022. And we've made, I think, significant progress. Many people and viewers may not feel that when we are experiencing load shedding. But in terms of having the technicians there, the expertise that's required, the identification of the real constraints in the system, we're seeing that starting to feed through. In fact, load shedding is some 65% less than it was during the same period last year. If we're talking about stage 4 and beyond, some 80% less. We know that it's going to take time. We've committed ourselves, when I say we, government and business, to effectively seeing an end to or a fundamental reduction in load shedding by the end of 2024, stage 1 or below that. That's a function of only two real primary factors. One is obviously the energy availability factor within the existing Eskom fleet of power stations. By us working with government and providing expertise, we can assist that. And the second is by bringing new energy capacity onto the grid. And again, we are seeing that ratchet up again. Bid window 7 is open. So we're confident that over the next several months, we will see that traction continue.
You talk of the new energy capacity quickly for us, because there is talk of a 10.5 gigawatt that is going to be added to the Eskom grid by the end of 2025. Is that where you come in as business? Because yes, there's talk of an injection of private skills.
Yeah, well, that's actually not just private skills, of course. That's private sector mobilization. It's not just rooftop solar, but these are many companies that are going to go off-grid or wheel into the grid. There are two aspects that are required there, Collie. One is that we need to strengthen and reinforce the national transmission system, the grid. And in that particular regard, the National Transmission Company has been established, as we know, by government. The second is to have an appropriate legal framework to wheel the power across the grid. Both of those are absolutely in focus, and by the end of 2025, the sort of numbers that you're talking about we think are realistic. We have agreed a critical path with government, which we're going to account to the country at large about in terms of progress that we're making. So yes, I believe that we should have every prospect of meeting the targets that you've talked about.
Let's then talk transport and logistics. A set of old hands are now in charge of Transnet. They are the new leadership, and it is hoped that they will restore stability. But I'd like to know from you as private business, what do you think is essential? What else beyond leadership stability? What else is essential for Transnet in particular to start working and pumping into the South African economy?
Well, you made a very good point. Of course, we have endorsed and supported the appointment of the new leadership. In fact, Michelle Phillips, the newly appointed CEO, has been acting in that position now for some months, and we have established a very close relationship with her senior colleagues, and indeed the board, being able to ensure that we implement the Transnet recovery plan being able to ensure that the freight logistics roadmap that was approved by Cabinet is also implemented are absolutely key. Once again, we are availing directly and indirectly, in some cases through the Resource Mobilization Fund, in other cases through working alongside them on a sort of an 8-point plan. We're beginning to see again progress being made, a 45% reduction indeed in ships outside the port of Durban, a 50% or so reduction in waiting times. Those are material that need to be sustained, and as you and your viewers will know, business is hemorrhaging both as a consequence of energy, but also the constraints in the transport and logistics sector. Once more, it's going to take time. We have to be patient. That's not a virtue that we have in abundance at a time when we've got enormous economic headwinds. But we need to be able to, once again, transparently communicate the progress we're making when we've got constraints, explain how we're going to navigate and overcome those constraints. And the partnership has really taken hold once again in the context of transport and logistics, the establishment of the National Logistics Crisis Committee by government, in which we're participating in 6 of the 8 work streams concerned. So once again, I'm confident and positive that over time we'll see the continuance of progress being made.
Yeah. Crime and corruption. This is a deterrent to new investment, and I suspect it is a topic that ordinary South Africans like me completely switch off when it comes to that, because it just continues non-stop. Can I ask a different question this time around? Why should ordinary South Africans believe both private business and government when they say we are working to end this?
Well, I don't think anybody should give us the benefit of the doubt until the results feed through. And we know, as you say, that it affects each and every one of us as private individuals, us, our families, our colleagues, our friends, and equally it affects businesses whose profitability is eroded, undermined by the challenge of crime, corruption and maladministration. And by the way, not just in the public sector, but in the private sector as well. We need to hold people to account. So the proof of the pudding has to be obviously in the telling. We have seen a significant reduction in criminal incidents in the Northern Corridor, which was debilitating the ability to export our product, our mining product in particular. But it has to be sustained and carrying on. We've committed to that. We've put in place, again, a structure between business and government, the Joint Initiative on Crime and Corruption, which we're capacitating on both sides. It's taken longer to put that in place than in the other areas. I think we need to be very sensitive to the fact that business in no shape, size or form should move out of its lane. It can give technical assistance and support, but in the final analysis we cannot compromise the independence of the criminal justice system. We have to see us move off the grey list, and that we think is only going to happen in 2025. There's a cost to the country and therefore to us as individuals until we move off that grey list. We need to see some high-profile, not just prosecutions, but convictions. We're confident that the NPA will start to reap some rewards. But we're not asking people to take either their eye off the ball or not to hold us to account. And we will once again be reporting regularly to all stakeholders and society at large about progress in that area.
Very briefly on this last point, it is an election year, Martin Kingston, and there is a strong belief that business will adopt the wait-and-see approach. Why should government believe that you will indeed put your money where your mouth is? In other words, you will commit to the things that you say you will do.
Yeah, well, we are putting our money where our mouth is already. We're providing those skills and resources, both in cash and in kind, in a manner that withstands scrutiny. Secondly, the election will come and go, and we're not working with anybody other than the government of the day. Whoever it will be thereafter, we will cooperate and partner with. The partnership is for the long term. But you're right, in terms of investment, people will only make those commitments from domestic and international sources when they're confident that many of the issues that you and I are talking about, plus the structural reform that has to accompany it, is actually being put in place and is sustainable. So that is correct. We need to build that confidence over time.
Martin Kingston, thank you very much for your time. Chairperson of Business for South Africa.